All right, hello once again. This is Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College. And yesterday I began the process of, for lack of better words, kind of redoing or rewriting or bringing up again, whatever you want to say, the BallStore project we've been working on. And what I did yesterday, I've got it up still, I believe. So let's see. It's up here. And where we finished yesterday was I did go in and I did a add migration and I did an update database. And we've got this. We've got the information. You saw it from yesterday. Here are our 7 categories. Here are our 42 different kinds of balls. All right, so that's from yesterday. Now, a couple things I mentioned yesterday, and that was, or at least one of the things that I mentioned yesterday, was that I was going to come in and try to in our data access layer, in our configuration file, do a configure balls and a configure categories where I was going to move the data over. So rather than the data being where it currently is right now, which is inside of our context file, we would put it in some configuration files. And you can see there's nothing in the configure balls file, and there is nothing in the configure categories file. There's nothing in there. Now, it's been a while since we've looked at it, so I went back in and looked and found there were at least a couple of examples, and one of them was, I guess this was from chapter 15, but they had in earlier chapters as well. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in, because what this is the context file, and that's what we have right here. But I want to put this in right now, and I'm going to put this in, what you see right here, and I'm going to replace what I actually have right now in my context file. Now, I don't have a date config, a teacher's config, etc., but hopefully I'll be able to fix that up in just a couple moments, and we'll see if this works. If it does, we'll go in and we'll try a new add migration and a new update database to see if indeed the stuff will work. So let's start by going back into our uh, under our data access layer folder, the BallStore context. All right, so this right now is where we have all of our stuff. All right, so what I'm going to do for right now, and I think it goes right here in the protected override on model creating. Let's double check again. Protected on model creating. Okay, so I'm going to just grab 2 of these and I'm going to put them in. Now they're going to probably give me errors. Don't worry about it, because we're going to fix it momentarily. Now we don't have a date config, but we do have a configure categories and a configure balls. So let's try configure categories. All right, and a configure balls. Now it's giving me errors. Let's see if we can figure out why. It says we need a using statement in there. Okay. Now it doesn't like this apply configuration. So what is the problem with that? It says the same model builder instance so that additional configurations can be changed. Well, let's do this. Okay, and that is I'm going to bring up the configure categories because that's the easier one. So let's start with the easier one. And let's look in here. We want to do something like this. All right. So we'll make this internal class, and it's going to come from here. But again, this will say category, and then we'll come in and put this stuff in. So let's kind of do it like this. All right, I'm going to just try to have that there as a little helper, so to speak. So we got our namespace. We will need some using statements, probably. All right, so instead of this public, we're going to make this internal. And you really don't have to worry too much about that. That basically says we're working with what's in the assembly here as opposed to making it public. All right, so, and we will come in here and do this. So we need to say inherits from. All right, configure. And oops, that was wrong. So let's do that again. All right, so let's bring that in here. All right, and we're going to say this. Now, I called it configure categories, and here it looks like it should have been called like categories config. We can change the name. It's no biggie if we want to. All right, so we've got that, and this would have to say category, like that. All right, and let's see. What doesn't it like here? It looks like a lot. Show potential fixes. It looks like it needs a using to begin with. Okay. So we've got our using statements in here right now. Alrighty. And now it says configure categories does not implement interface member entity configuration. Well, we're not done yet. All right. All right. So we'll need to have this public void configure in here. It looks like. So let's see. See if I move this over. All right. And that pretty much looks like it's it. Now, of course, this is going to be very wrong. All right. So configure. All right. And again, this will be category. All right. And like I said, we'll fix this up a little bit at a time. Now, this entity has data. Let's just get rid of all this. And we'll replace it with the stuff that we have right now in here. So here's our 7 categories. Okay. Now, before we do this, let's look one more time at this. Looks like we want this, which we have, and then we want the entity.has data, and then just this. Right there. All right. So entity.has data, and I'm going to paste that in. Now, the good news is, right now, it looks like we only have one error. All right. And where is that error? Could be right here, because I don't think we need this. Now, I could be wrong, as you can see, because it's introduced other errors. So let's see what's in here. It could be just that I'm missing another curly. There we go. And it's not showing any errors. So we now have in here configure categories. I don't think the name really matters as far as category config or config categories. It doesn't seem to really matter. All right, it's a type category. And here is all of the information. So as far as I can tell, this is correct now. So file, save all. All right. Now we have to do a similar type of thing and come in here and do this in our ball one. All right. So let me bring this in up to about right there. All right. And again, it's going to be a little screwed up for a minute, but hopefully we can fix it up fairly quickly. All right. So configure balls. Okay. Configure. So this isn't categories anymore. It's configure balls. And this will be ball. All right. Now, let's see. It says configure balls cannot be of the same enclosing type. Okay. We're going to fix it. Don't worry about it. So again, it'll be internal class configure balls, entity configuration. So that's what we want to change that here. That's internal class configure balls. All right. And we don't even need this. Okay. Again, just give me a couple minutes. I'm just sorting this stuff all out in here. So. There. All right. We're almost there, believe it or not. So internal class, configure balls. And we need this. And of course, that will be ball here, not teacher. All right, this should give us an error because we need a using statement. Nope. All right, let's go look in here then. And again, just as before, we're going to have to go in and bring in all the data from our context file. All right, now I had all this, and now we have all of this. And of course, there's a lot more because there's, because there's 42 balls that we had in here. All right, so that's everything. So let's copy that in and bring that in and see if that got rid of at least the one error at the beginning here. All right, so that's all done. It looks like, at least, we now have all of our information in there. It doesn't like something that's in here. All right. It says configure balls does not implement interface member entity type configuration ball.configure. All right, so that'll have to be ball. And it looks like that got rid of my error. So if I haven't screwed it up, and we'll find out momentarily, but if I have not screwed it up, then what we have done is we have gone through and basically taken the information that we had and that still actually exists in our context file, and we've moved it into a configure balls file and a configure categories file. All right, so now when I go back in here and I look at this, and I want to go back and look at my context file, of course. All right, so now hopefully what we're going to want in here is this. I'm going to actually copy this in, make a couple changes, but I'm going to remove every bit of data that I have in my context file. All right, so let's take it from the top here. And I'm not working with a copy, so if I screw it up, I've screwed it up. All right, so we've got that. So now we should be able to remove all of this. Right there. Now let's see if it's giving us any errors here. All right, so we have replaced the data that we had in here with calls to our configure categories and our configure balls. All right, as far as I can tell, we're not getting any errors in here right now. All right, let's check. So let's do a file, save all, and let's go in here and do a build solution, and we're going to see if we get any errors. I'm going to close this for now, and I think I can clear this. All right, so let's do a build solution and see if it comes up and if it's clean or if it has errors. It says one succeeded, which is always a good sign. All right. So with that in there, what I'd like to try to at least do is right now we've got one migration. All right, initial migration. So I'm going to come in here and do a tools, NuGet package manager, manage package for, I'm sorry, wrong one. Try that again. Make that tools, NuGet package manager console right here. All right, and let's clear this. And again, let's try another add migration. And I'm going to put in here added, how about this? Migration, moved data to configuration files. All right, let's see if it works. Now, though, the reason I'm getting that yellow in here too is there's some decimal stuff in there, and it's letting me know that there can be precision problems with decimal. It's no biggie. It really and truly is not. But it came up okay. So I'm going to clear, and now I'm going to try to do my update database and see if that works. And it looks like that did as well. So let's clear again. Let's move this way down. Let's go back. I'm going to refresh inside of my SQL Server Object Explorer. Let's look in here because we've got our BallStore DB database, and let's see if the data still looks like it's good, so to speak. So here's balls, and here is our data. There are our 42 different balls that we had in there. And we have our categories, and there should be 7 of these. All right, so everything looks like it's worked so far. Now, I'm going to do something that's going to result in an error. Okay, I want to say that again. I'm going to do something right now, and what I'm about to do is going to result in an error. All right, and the reason that it's going to result in an error is because what we have right now, in our program.cs file is incomplete. Okay, you know that this compiles because we just did a build solution on it. I'm going to do one more file, save all, and I'm going to run this, and I'm going to get errors. At least I think I'm going to get errors. I can close that, and I can close that, and I can close that now. There we go. All right, so when this comes up, it's going to give me errors. All right, and the reason it's giving me errors in here right now, all right, is again, we have not added the builder.services.add_scoped with our category repository and with our ball repository. All right, we have not added those yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop this run, and I'm going to go back in here. I think I'm okay with this for now. So I'm going to close this, and I'm going to close this, and I'm going to close this configuration balls file as well, and come down to here. All right, so what we've added in here so far has been this add DB context that we've been basically using for the majority of the semester. All right, but what we haven't come in here and added again are those builders.services.add_scoped. So I'm going to add 2 of those right now. Okay, so I'm going to come in here and say builder.services.add_scoped iCategory repository, like that. And then another one, builder.services.add_scoped, and we got to do now the ball repository. All right, so we've now got those in there. Now, we're going to add a couple more later when we add more to this program. We're going to add one for our shopping cart and one for our order. Since I haven't built that stuff yet and even put it into the system, I'm not going to put that in here yet. All right, now there's another couple things we're going to have to put in here, I think, and I don't think it's going to hurt to put them in now, and that is builder.services.add HTTP context accessor and a builder.services.add session. I don't think that's going to hurt anything to put that in there now, even though we're not using them yet. All right, now I'm going to go down here and I'm going to keep looking at what I've got here. All right, use redirection, static files. Well, eventually we're going to need sessions, so I'm going to put in here an app.use session. I better spell it right. All right, we've got our routing. That's good. And we have our authorization, but we also want in here authentication. I'll put it right between these. All right. And I think this all looks okay as far as I know. All right. So let me save this. And I'm going to try, just for the heck of it, I'm going to try to build it again and make sure I didn't break anything. So let's go back to here. Why is it letting me move this up? Well, it's not what I wanted, but that's okay. All right, there we go. All right, and I'm going to close this. All right, and I'm going to clear this. And I'm going to, again, do a file save all. And I'm going to attempt to build this again. See if I get any errors or not. And it came back and it said 1 succeeded, 0 failed. That's good. Now I'm going to run it. Because when I ran it before, it gave me those errors. It should run now, but it's going to do almost nothing. All right, which is okay. Check my time here. I'm doing just fine. All right, because I haven't done anything yet really with the views. So what do I have here? I basically in here have my default view. In fact, I'm not even using privacy anymore, so that might even give me an error. I don't know. Yeah, can't be found. Same with down here, because I've removed those. All right, and my home, that's where I am. Okay, because I've done literally nothing yet. I've done nothing yet with coming in and trying to work with my views. All right, so I'm going to come in and try to do some work with those right now. All right, so let me stop the run. And you probably know this already, but if you do screw this up like I did right here, all right, I'm going to go over to Tools, and I'm going to go to Import and Export Settings. And I want to reset all settings. I don't want to save this. So it says you want to save it. No, just reset it. Next, make sure it's set to Visual C Sharp and finish. This should then move down and it should be exactly where it's supposed to be. And close. All right, so now that is down there in the bottom. Okay, so this is now done. So again, File, Save All, and I'm going to close this. And I'm going to start to take a look at literally what I have in my views. All right. Okay. So let me go over to my views folder, and we'll take a look at what's in there. So let's close a few of these things. For now, at least, we're going to close controllers. We're going to close our www root, our migration. We'll close our data access layer. We'll close our domain models, our view models, our models folder itself. And now let's take a look in here. And as you can see, there's not a lot. In fact, since I have a ball controller and a home controller, I do have home in here. So that's a start. But I will also need inside of my views to go in and add another folder that's called ball. All right. So I now have both those. Okay, that's a start, if nothing else, right? And right now, what I have is I've got an index.cshtml file. Well, let's start with that one. All right, not a lot in here, as you can see. All right, I'm going to try something. This is off the top of my head, more or less, so it may not work, but we're going to try it anyway. All right, and I'm going to see if I can do something here. So I'm going to do an add at model, and it'll be our home view model that we worked with before. It might give me an error, and if it does, what does that mean? All right, it's not giving me an error, but if it did, it would mean that it didn't recognize it. All right, let's see. I'm going to get rid of all this. In fact, let's do this. Just in case what I'm about to do goes up in smoke, I'll take this and comment it all out. All right, so why doesn't it show my comments there? Here we go. All right, so now that's commented out. Okay, here and here. So if I ran it right now, it would show nothing on the home page. All right. Now, I'm going to, for now at least, I'm going to eventually put in a line where I hope to be able to create a carousel. But I don't have that line yet, that code yet. So I'm going to put that in here like this. And so in other words, it's commented out. It's not doing anything. All right. So I'm going to come in here and make an H2, and I'm going to put in here balls on sale. That's what I'm going to put into my home page. All right. Well, that was a nice start, wasn't it? Try that again. All right. And we'll put a for each in here. Now this isn't going to work right now because I don't have any of this built. All right, so that's not going to do anything, in other words. All right, so I could leave this here, but again, I think what I'll do is just comment it out. All right, for now. Okay, so if we run this now, we should just get an H2 on our homepage that says balls on sale. Let's put an exclamation point in there, and let's see if indeed that happens. I don't think that this should give me any errors, but it is. It says home view model could not be found. All right. I'm going to come into my view imports that's in here. Okay. And so I've got all this, but I don't have in here another using. And this will be view models. Okay. Now I'm hoping when I come back here that that's going to fix those errors. We'll see in just a moment. File, save all. Let's try it again. Again, if it just comes up with balls on sale, that's pretty much what it should say right now. All right. Okay. Like I said, not doing very much right now. I understand that. All right. All right. The next thing I want to do before we do anything else here, all right, is I want to come in. We are going to come in and we're going to write a details and a list for our ball we're going to put in here. So let me make these. Okay, so we will have a details.cshtml, which right now will be empty. We don't even need that garbage in there, so it'll be empty. And we're also going to need a list. All right, and again, we don't need any of that stuff that's in there. But before we do that, because we are going to do that right now, we're going to start taking a look at what's in there. All right, and we're going to start literally filling that stuff up in just a couple minutes. All right, but before we do that, I want to come in and I want to open up under shared. I want to open up our layout file. Because right now this layout file I don't think is at all what we want it to be. So under shared layout, this is what we have. All right, so I'm just going to take this nice and slow here, change anything I want to change. Doc type, HTML head, viewport, width equal device width, that's fine. I've got a title in here that says the BallStore, that's okay. Now down on the bottom, someplace here in the footer, it's got this privacy stuff. Again, we don't need any of this. All right. In fact, we don't need anything other than like the BallStore for right now. So that'll get rid of that. All right. I'm just trying to clean this up a little bit here. And I want to see if we've got anything else in here that says privacy. We do. So that one's going to change as well in just a moment. Okay. All right. So let's go back and take a look at what's in here. We've now changed. So this is what's going to appear in our tab. It's going to have the title and it'll, whatever page we're on, followed by the BallStore. That's okay. All right. In fact, we can just, if you want, we can, let's move this down. And let's just use viewbag.title. Okay. So viewbag.title. All right. So now let's take a look at what else is in here. Okay. We've got 3 style sheets that you can see right now. All right. And the first one here says that it's Bootstrap. All right, rel style sheet, lib, Bootstrap, dist, CSS, Bootstrap, bootstrap.min. Let's see if indeed that's where it is. All right, so we've got lib, right there, Bootstrap, dist, CSS, bootstrap.min.css, and I don't see that in there, so I'm going to change that to just bootstrap.css, like that. All right. Then we've got our CSS, which is right here. And that does have a site.css, so that looks okay. All right. Let's see if we want anything else in here. We've got this here where it says the BallStore styles.css. I think with just a site file, that's going to be sufficient, so I don't think we're going to need this. All right. So right now, hopefully I've got Bootstrap in there, and I've got my own local, which always has to come after that one. All right, so let's see. Let's see if we can bring the bootstrap.js file in as well. All right, we don't need jQuery in here. We might have it, but I don't think we need it because we're using a version of Bootstrap that doesn't require jQuery anymore. All right, we could put it in. I don't think it'll hurt anything. So under lib here, we do have jQuery, dist, and jQuery. Let's put it in just in case we need it. So that'll be a script tag. Source equal should be tilde / lib / jQuery / dist / jQuery.js. Okay, so we should have that now in our script. I don't know why it's not putting an ending script tag in there. It should have, but it didn't. So we'll add it manually. Okay, now why didn't it like that? I don't know. All right. And let's add our bootstrap.js file. ~lib/bootstrap /dist/js/ and we'll use bootstrap. Don't think it really matters which one of these we use. Notice we do have the min in here and we didn't have it in there, which is interesting, but I'll just use the regular one. And again, with our ending script tag. Why it gives me those errors, and then when I click off, they look okay. All right, so there's a start. So what we have done in here so far is we brought in our Bootstrap CSS. We have a reference to our site one that's in here. All right, we brought in jQuery, and we brought in our Bootstrap, both our bootstrap.css and our bootstrap.js. So again, this is bootstrap dist CSS. Again, there is no bootstrap dot. There isn't one in here that is minified. I don't know why, but there isn't. There is one, and actually in here, it only is showing the bootstrap.js. Okay, that's fine. So we brought in those. All right. So let me close a bunch of this stuff up here. All right. Now we're going to come in and we're going to try to build this and work with this a little bit. Now the problem is some of the stuff that I've written in here, I think is going to break. And it's like before when I went in there and was going in and taking the stuff that was in there and actually commenting it out, because I've got stuff all over the place in my code. But we're going to try to fix this anyway. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do, there's my head. And I don't even think I put a header section in here. Right into the nav bar. So I'm going to grab this that's in here right now, and I'm going to comment this line out. All right. And I'm going to start right here, but I'm going to come in here and put in a div with a class of container. Of course, it gives me my ending div tag. Oops. And I don't want it. Whoa, hello. I don't want it there. All right. Instead, I want it way down at the bottom here. All right. Nope. That should just be my ending div. Sorry about that. There. All right. And don't worry, if this looks funky or whatever. All right. Hopefully, when we get done with this, it'll be working and it'll look at least okay. Again, I don't want a header in here. There. So I commented that out. All right. So I've got my div class equal container. I'm going to start navbar class equal navbar. I changed it around from what was in here. So I'm going to put in what I had. All right. If I have to, in fact, let's do this. Let's take everything that's in here, and I mean everything. Let's comment out the whole blazing thing here. All right. So I'm going to grab this. And I'm going to go all the way down to the very bottom here. All right, and I'm going to paste that in. Now I'm going to take my div and I'm going to start rewriting it right here. Okay, so if everything works, I'll be able to remove that eventually. So div class equal container. All right, so we're going to do everything in here. All right, so in here, we're going to build our nav bar. Put this over multiple lines. All right, so that's going to be this. And we need 3 of these. Okay, and our button in that div. Come on. It's got to be this. We're going to add more in here later, but I think for now that's all I'm going to want in there. This is going to be in a bid for my contact. All right. And there's going to be more in there. And right now, of course, this would break it because I don't have any controller named contact. So let's come in here and quickly, under my controllers, I'm going to add a controller. And that controller is going to be called contact controller.cs. There it is. All right, and it'll need an index in it, which it has right now, so it's not going to hurt anything. All right, and I'll have to come in here under views and also make a contact in here. In fact, I'll have to create a new folder. And in there, I'll have to put an index.cshtml. And that's what it's called anyway, so add that. And there'll be nothing in there for right now. Okay. I'm trying to be more complete than I was the last time I did this, and show you a few things that I may have either not shown, gone over, glossed over, or whatever last time. I'm trying not to do this time. Am I succeeding? I guess you're the judge of that, not me. So I'm going to go back to my layout that I've been building right here. All right. And where we finished our nav was right here. All right. And underneath that, I'm going to add a little bit more. And I don't want it, let's see, yep, I don't want it there. I want it underneath the nav. This may not work, or it may look really terrible when I get done, but there's more that has to be added, so. And we're going to put here in the paragraph our actual logo. Let's put this down here. I'll give it a little more room. Images slash, I think it's logo, not logo one. I was playing around with a bunch of this stuff, so JPEG. So that'll be in there. And that div right there, so that's for 3, and div class equal col md9 for the other 9 locations in our 12 location grid. All right, div. Finally, at the bottom here, one more. And all that should be left is our body and our HTML tag. So all the other stuff has been commented out. There we go. All right. Now, I don't expect this to, it may not even compile yet because I haven't finished with all my views, but let's do a file, save all, and let's see if we do go in and do a build, if it builds. If it doesn't, we'll have to figure out what the problem is. Build solution. Son of a gun. Okay. Build solution. I should be bringing that up here, and it's not, of course. If it can go wrong, it'll go wrong. It said here build succeeded. So let's run this. Again, it may not run, or it may look god awful. I don't know. All right, we've got that. Don't know why that's saying that, but it is. And we have our logo and our balls on sale. Okay, that's a start. All right. So what else do we need to do in here? Well, I already mentioned this to you, that we need to, under our ball folder, we need a details and we need a list. So let's try to put those in here. Here's the details. So let's do that one first. Okay, try that again. Looking in here. And it doesn't have what I want. Nope. Let's try current category. I don't think that's what I want, but that's fine. So we've got something in there. This isn't looking the way I want it to look. At all. This does not look the way I want it to look. None of it does. And the list isn't going to work right now either. So trying to figure out the best way to continue here. And I'm at just about an hour. Okay. I believe what I'm going to do next is I'm going to come in here, not there, to my models. And right now, all right, right now under my models, you've already seen this. We've got it, the data access layer with our configuration, which has in it our context file. Maybe it's not in there. I thought I put it in there, but I guess I didn't. But it has in our configuration, got our configure balls and our configure categories. And in here, in our data access layer, we do have our context file, our interface for our ball repository, and our ball repository, our interface for our category repository, and our category repository. Okay, in our domain models right now, the only thing that we have in here at the current time, all right, the only thing that we have in here at the current time is ball.cs and category.cs. All right, and I want more in there than I have. And if you say, what do you mean? Well, what we need to put in there is we need to add to that. All right, and what do we need to add? Well, we'll need an order.cs. We'll need an order detail.cs. We'll need a shopping cart.cs and a shopping cart item.cs. Let's just take a second and talk about what those are going to be. All right. So an order is literally, hopefully a little later today or tomorrow morning, we're going to actually set it up where we can make an order. The order is going to consist of details. In other words, one of this ball, two of this ball, etc. All right. What we want to do with those orders eventually is we want to put those orders, all right, we want to take those orders and we want to put them into a shopping cart. And that should make sense because after all, this is meant to be a shopping cart application. All right. So we will have a shopping, and shopping carts consist of shopping cart items. All right, so we're going to want to add all of this stuff, what I just mentioned to you. We are going to want to add about 4 more files to our models folder. All right, now when we add those files to our models folder, this will also necessitate us doing some other work, such as you might ask, well, we're going to add more repositories and we're going to add more view models. All right, so we're going to do all of this stuff. All right, so the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and I'm going to add an order. So I'm going to come into my models here, and under domain models, I'm going to add a class, and it will be order.cs. Okay. All right. And there's going to be a few things, as you probably guess, in this. Okay. So we're going to start, we're going to say bind never, which means basically we're going to not going to have to worry about this being set up. It'll be set up for us. Public int will have an order ID with a get set in it. Now I'm getting this because there's a using missing. All right, there it is. Okay, so we fix that. And then, so this will be an order. So when somebody has an order, this will be the information we want to get from them, such as first name, last name, address, city, state, zip code, and phone. All right, so let's put all those in. Kind of the nice news is, as far as I know, every one of those is going to end up being a string. Okay, so we'll make them all required. We'll use a display so that instead of it saying first name where it's together as one word, we'll put a display in here so it'll be as two names, when we actually put it out here on our form in a bit. So it'll look like that, which looks a little bit nicer. All right. We'll give it a string length, and we're going to say, I don't know, 25 characters should be okay, I would think. All right, notice it's looking for 100. I'm just going to put in 25. I think that's going to be plenty. All right, and then a public string first name with our get set. And again, let's put a question mark here. And let's put an equal string.empty here. Because again, that's going to mean that we're going to have less. All right, we're going to end up having less string, oops. All right, now we're going to do a bunch of these. So let's just bring this down. And now we've got first name. Let's put in last name. It'll be pretty much the same thing. All right, so there's our first name. There's our last name. Next, let's do address. We don't have to really do anything with the display name. Well, we could. Let's say street address. And let's make this a little bigger. I think 50 should suffice. All right, and this will be address. Okay, so now we've got first name, last name, address. I'm going to copy from this one because we're going to do city next. And with city, there really isn't going to be any display name in here. We can give it a size, that's fine, and we'll say city. All right. And then next will be state. We're going to change this one around a little bit. Oops. We're going to expect the person to put in for their state. We're going to expect that what is going to be put in will be just 2 characters. Okay, so I'm going to make that state. In other words, the state abbreviation. All right, and we don't need that. But let's come in here and for the string length, and change this around a little bit. All right, so that basically is saying we expect it to be 2 characters. So in other words, for Missouri, we would put in MO. All right, that's really all that it's going to accept. All right, now we've got a zip code and a phone, so let's copy these down. All right, so again, the next one here was you must enter your zip code. Or you can just say zip, whatever you want, it doesn't really matter. And what we'll do is here, we'll just suppose that you're going to put in 5. All right. And we'll use for the display name on here, zip code. All right, and we'll just call it zip code as though it's one word. Okay, and finally, we'll put a phone number in here. We'll have, so that'll be the display. Let's set the data type. To phone number. All right. We won't put any kind of length or anything in there. And this will just be phone number. All right, we're almost done. So when you make an order, you have to supply your first name, your last name, your address, your city, your state, your zip code, and your phone number. We could add other things. We can add email, or you could add that if you wanted to. All right. But we're going to add a couple more things in here. Okay. Now, that's going to be the person's information, but we also need the information about the order itself. So I'm going to put in here public list order detail. It probably is going to give me an error because we haven't created order detail yet. And that's okay. With, again, a get set. All right. And if I say equal null, gives me that. That's giving me that error. So I think if we do this, declare as nullable. There we go. All right. And we're going to do the order detail next, so don't worry about that one. So another bind never here. And that'll be the order total. Now, the reason that this is important, just so you know, the reason that this is important here, all right, is this is something that's going to be calculated based on what we bought. Now, what is that? Date.time.now. That should default it to the current date. Okay. All right. So we've got all that. We're getting an error right now because we need to make an order detail. All right. So let's make this next. So I'm going to come in here and add to my domain models, add another class. And that class will be order detail.cs. There it is. All right. And we will start with public int order detail ID with a get set. All right. And then we're also going to need information because this is going to need an order ID. All right. I don't want to default it like that. And it's also going to need not a product ID, but a ball ID. All right. Next, we're going to need all the ball information, basically. And I think, again, if we put a question mark in there, okay, that went away. This is going to be how many of the thing did we buy. Let's put some blank spaces in here. We don't have to, but just so you can see everything that's going on, we can talk about all of it. All right. We'll need a price. And an order. So the details for the order then, the details for the order will be every order will have an order detail ID. Every order will have an order ID and a ball ID. It'll have all the ball information, price, cost, whatever it is. This will be the number that we bought. In fact, that'll be probably the name in the description. This will be the number of the item we bought. This will be the cost. And this will allow us to bring in the order information. Now that should make sure that under order, I no longer have an error in there. Okay, so file, save all. All right, so I've added order .cs, and I've added order detail.cs. Okay, and that's good. Now, the other things I'm going to care about in here are going to be a shopping cart and a shopping cart item. All right, and I'm going to do the item first. That might seem a little out of place, but that's the way I'm going to do it. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to add, and I'm going to add another class here, and this will be shopping cart item.cs. All right, and in here, not a lot. Each shopping cart, as it says, will have an item ID, plus it'll need a shopping cart ID. This is probably going to give me an error, but that's okay. And again, with all these, I can come in if I'm working with an object and I can set it to null. Shouldn't hurt anything. A string here I can set equal to string.empty, etc. We've talked about this on more than one occasion. And again, the amount. Okay, so that's going to be my shopping cart item. All right. The other one I want to put in here, it's a little longer, because what this is going to be, all right, is it's going to be the actual shopping cart. So this is going to have a lot of stuff in it, so to speak. All right, I'm going to put this in and then I'm going to take a break. All right, I'm at 1:12, so this will get me to about 1.5 hours. All right, and then I'm going to take a break and pick it up later today. I sure hope after all this it works, but we'll see. All right, so let me close. I've got a lot of stuff open here, so I'm going to start closing some of this stuff. Leave that open. Now, one thing, and hopefully at least what I'm about to say is going to make at least some sense to most, if not all of you, and that is I want to go into my program.cs file. Well, I'm not going to do that now. After I come back again, I'm going to come back in and add another view model or two, and I'm going to come into my data access layer and I'm going to add another interface or two with the associated files. All right, I'm going to do that, then update the controllers, then update the views. So that's what I've got on tap for the rest of the day today. So this is file save all. And let's come in here and again, actually come in and create our shopping cart. Now, this is going to be a class, but this is going to be the class that we're going to use. All right, and it's going to allow us to do operations on our shopping cart. So I'm going to come in here. And this will be shopping cart.cs. Okay, there it is. Probably is going to end up sooner or later giving me, well, it already brought the using in for me. Okay, that's good. So those are going to be the variables. Let's come in and create the constructor. And the only thing we'll have to add to the constructor will be that context that you see right there. I spelled shopping wrong there. That isn't good, so let's fix that. In fact, let's try to fix it here. Right mouse click, choose a rename, and change it to shopping, and tell it to change it everywhere. Fixed it there, and it renamed it there as well. Okay, good. Now this is mostly right, but I'm going to fix the end of this here. Okay, we'll fix that in a moment. So all right, and I think if I question mark here, there we go. And it's a possible no reference, so let's see. Not all paths return a value, so we'll fix that in a minute. There we go. Now in English, what this says basically, for lack of better words, is if I don't have an ID associated with the shopping cart, create one. Otherwise, it's going to use what it has. Okay. Again, I'm using a lot of question marks in here. Hopefully that's not going to come back and bite me, but we'll see. All right, so we're returning a new shopping cart there. Or I should even say, yeah, we are. All right, now we need an add to cart method to add items to our cart. this doesn't look real good right now, does it? We'll fix all this in a minute. I don't know why it's giving me that S byte in there. I just want S. All right, it doesn't like this. I think that should be this. Still doesn't like it. Yeah, I didn't think it would like that. Well, we'll have to look at this. Okay. Let's see. This is add to cart. Cart item equal. Not sure what the problem is right there. I'm going to have to investigate that, and I don't want to go on until I do. So, we are at an hour and 23 minutes. I'm going to pause right now, investigate that, and then come back in a little bit. All right, from where I left off last time, I had a problem here, and I am going to solve it, or attempt to. But what I want to do first is I'm going to come back over here into my data access layer, and I'm going to add another interface. So I'm going to add, of course, we have to say class, and then we can choose interface. And this will be iOrder repository .cs. And I spelled that wrong. All right, so there's our iOrder repository. It's going to be very short. Just going to have here a void create order. And I don't know what's going on there, but we'll fix it right now. That should just say order, which means that I'm missing a using statement in here. There we go. All right, so we've got that. Now let's go in and actually create our order repository .cs file. That, of course, will be a class, and it'll be order repository.cs. All right. All right. So the first thing I want to do is come in here and create a couple variables. And the first one will be for our DB context. So And well, again, let's put in a question mark here to hopefully get that out of the way. All right. And then finally, another private read-only for shopping cart. All right. Then let's add our constructor. And you know what we need to add in here. We need our and we also need, whoops, we need our shopping cart too. So let me bring that in. And we will just call this underscore shopping cart. Oh, I did that up here, so let me fix this. All right, so that'll be BallStore context, and this one will be shopping cart. All right. Okay, so we'll do that one, and we'll do that one, so that quickly finishes off our constructor. Now we need to be able to create an order, and that's all we're going to do in this particular one. If you remember, that was the only thing that we added to the interface, was just the one method. We need to call a method here that I haven't been able to write yet. So that's get shopping cart items. So that's what's going to give us an error, and don't worry about that. We'll fix that hopefully very quickly. All right, we're not done yet. And you can see we have errors, so we're going to have to fix all these. And up here, this is actually wrong. This is get shopping cart total, which again, I don't think we've written yet. All right. All right. We're going to come back to that one where we had the errors before in just a minute. right, then we need to do a save changes after our for each loop. So right here. Okay, so that's everything for that. And again, we've got errors which we've got to fix. All right, so let's go in and see if we can fix these. All right. Where am I here? Okay. Let's go back to where we just were, which was, I believe, so this should have no errors. Good. That still does. And that was in our shoppingcart.cs. So let's take another look at this, okay? All right. Shopping cart, okay. That looks good. Okay, that looks good. And here's where I think it started to fall apart. So we're going to try to fix this now. Okay. All right, that looks okay. We have to come up here now to add to cart. And then we need a remove from cart. Okay. Shopping cart item. BallStore.context. Shopping cart items. Singular default. Why isn't it recognizing that? Well, I'll tell you one thing that I am supposed to do. All right. And that is, I don't know if this is going to matter or it's not going to matter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into, in just a moment, I'm going to go into my program.cs file. And give me a second here because I'm actually going off of two machines, and one of my machines, of course, is kind of hosed right now. So, all right. So let's go back into here. So I'm going to go back into my program.cs file. Now we've added these two builder things in here before. All right. And I'm just going to copy these lines, paste them in again. It's no biggie. All right. So this one is going to change, of course. They'll both change. So this will be shopping cart. All right, so we've got here an add scoped. Okay, shopping cart. Oh, I need to close that. All right. And I don't know what the heck is going on here, but we'll fix it. Shopping cart, get cart, get SC. And another paren here. All right, there's one. Now it says we're not using it yet, but we will. And this is going to be our I order repository. And this will be order repository. Did I spell it wrong? I order repository. It looks like it's spelled correctly. I order, I didn't spell it correctly here though. Repository. Order repository. I order repository. What don't you like here? Builder.services.add scoped. I order repository, comma, repository inlet. Boy, it looks like it should be correct. Like I said, unless I've misspelled something. Order repository, order. Boy, I'm having not good luck here. Let's double check one more time. Order repository, that looks correct. I order repository, that's correct. What doesn't this like? Well, I'm having a lot of luck, but all of it bad, and that's not meant to be funny. There's no conversion from BallStore to the BallStore. There's order repository. Ah, I never came in here and said that this inherits from I order repository. Now, that may actually end up fixing a few things in here later, but let's go back to the program file. This is now okay. All right, so let me do a file save all here. All right, that was on me as always. And our order repository is okay. Now we're in the shopping cart here. We have to do shopping cart and shopping cart items. And we've got the item. Let's see, what do we have here? Let's double check and make sure we're not missing anything here. It doesn't look like we are. Taking a very quick look. But this is shopping cart item. All right. ID, cart ID, all into mountain. No, everything is there. Yes, and the other one that I did set this one equal to 0, but that's not going to do diddly. All right. looking through this to try to see what I might have missed or what I might have done wrong. And so far, taking a quick look at it, I don't see anything that looks wrong in here. So I'm going to come in here and look at my shopping cart again to see if I can see anything, because that's okay. So the only place it appears as though I'm having errors is not in here, but in the shopping cart. In here. Okay. Now I might be having other errors in other places. We'll look in just a moment. Let's see. Yeah. I don't know if this would help, but I'm going to put in a couple using statements here. We may need these later. Now they're both gray right now, meaning neither one is being used right now. Looks good. That all looks correct. Everything in get cart. Now at add to cart, if it finds that we've already got one or more items of this item in the shopping cart, you just want to add one to it. You don't want to actually create a new item. All right. I don't know why it's not finding this though. We've got shopping cart items right here. Well, I'm going to keep going on because I don't want to have you sit here and watch me do absolutely nothing. So we're going to come in here and we're going to check. And I'm going to say if shopping cart item equal null, we've got to create a new one. It's wrong. There we go. All right. that's good, and that it didn't give any errors. Son of a gun. Oops. So again, if we don't have that item already, we're going to make a new one. Otherwise, we already have it, so we just want to add one to it. And that should make at least some sense. Got a few more here to do. We need a remove cart. We'll call remove from cart. Well, BallStore context isn't recognizing our shopping cart items. Generate read only. We did set up a shopping cart item up near the top. There's a public list shopping cart item. This shouldn't matter. I mean, I added that. I didn't have that in there originally. But see, it's still not doing anything as far as finding something or not finding it. Shopping cart items get set. Now, when I worked on it before, I had absolutely no problem with this. Son of a gun. So what this is going to do is if I've got multiple copies of the same thing in my cart, so let's say I've got 4 baseballs, and I click, it's going to remove one, so I'll have 3. But if I only have one, which is going to be the else in here in just a second, then I want to remove the whole thing because it's now 0. So if this is the case here, Again, else, there is only one, so I want to read, and now there's 0, so. And what we will want to return from here is the local amount. All right, and semicolon. Again, there's a bunch of errors, and I believe they're all in this file, which, ain't good. So let's do our get shopping cart items and then our clear cart, and that'll be it for this one here. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to pause for just a moment here because my grandfather clock is about to go off. All right, it went off, so let's keep going here. This will be a public list shopping cart item. Get shopping cart items. This will be a nice small method which will just return. Move these over. All right, that's that whole one. And again, everywhere that I'm using BallStore context and shopping cart items, I'm having problems. Okay, there's clear cart, and what's left then is get shopping cart total, which again is fairly small. Well, I got mucho errors in here, as you can see, and they're all when I'm trying to work with the BallStore context and the shopping cart item. Now, I brought that over from what I had done originally in the old copy, the one that we did kind of as a class or in class or whatever you want to call that. And I don't see anything that's different, but there must be something. So I'm going to stop right here. After I stop here, in fact, maybe I'll do this first. This will put me over 2 hours, but that's okay. I need another view model. I need a shopping cart view model. So let's go into our view models, right mouse click, add, class, and again, this will be shopping cart view model. .cs. There it is. Let me get this out of here. We don't need that. And we'll have public shopping cart. With a get set, probably I'm missing a using. Let's see. We are. There we go. And a public decimal shopping cart total. All right, so there's that. And I mean, we've gone and done a lot already. I know I still have the errors in my one file. I got to fix those. But when you look, we have broken this down more than last time. I had a configuration where I've loaded my data. All right, I've got my BallStore context in here as well. I've got 3 interfaces, a ball repository interface, a category repository interface, and an order repository interface. I have 3 associated repository files, a ball repository.cs, an order repository.cs, and a category repository.cs. All right. In our domain models, we have come in here and we have added to our ball.cs and our category.cs, we added an order.cs, an order detail.cs, a shopping cart.cs, and a shopping cart item.cs. We also added an extra view model in here, which was our shopping cart view model. So when I come in here now and do a file, save all, and then I build, of course I'm going to get errors because you saw those errors from earlier. All right, and they're all in here. I believe at least they're all in the same file. Well, these are in shoppingcart.cs. I'm also getting errors in our order repository.cs. I did not know I had any in there. So let's look in here. Boy, oh boy. Thought maybe I was missing a using statement in there. But domain models, and there should be order and order details, are in. There's order, and there's order detail. Well, let's take a quick look at our order repository file. I am doing that, so that's good. Repository, that looks good. All right, we've got our create order, order. Looks to me like that should be a little s. Doesn't like that either. Let's say public create order placed equal type time.now, order total equals shopping cart dot get shopping cart total. Okay, that should be an underscore. All right, which means I could get a reference in here. So probably if I put that in there, nope, doesn't like that either. That's okay, but that's not an error anymore. All right, so we've got save changes. That looks good. Var shopping cart items. Again, this should be underscore shopping cart there, so that fixed that. All right. Price shopping cart item dot ball dot. I think it's called ball price, isn't it? Okay. And boy. Boy, I've got a lot of mistakes that are coming up in here that did not come up before when I did this. Of course, I have to figure out why. should be an S in there, I believe. Holy moly. Well, I'm getting all sorts of errors, as you can see. And I'm missing something, probably something fairly fundamental. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut it down for now, take a look at my code, compare it to my old version of my code to see where the heck I might have screwed up. All right, and then I'll come back with part 3 of this in a little bit. Thanks for watching.